This is the Allen family. Gary Allen, Tabitha Hudson, and the children Chance and Serenity. When Serenity Allen was born on December 29, 2014, she took her first breath a bit too early and inhaled some amniotic fluid directly into her lungs. Upon this happening, the hospital staff requested an emergency airlift evacuation to another hospital that was better suited to handle this emergency.
I was terrified and helpless. That's a time that should have been a time of celebration for a new baby, and we didn't know if she was going to be okay.
In a time of year that is supposed to be very happy, everybody was having a hard time because of the news about Serenity.
I felt like I needed to be with Gary, with the baby. I didn't want him to be down there alone going through all this. And obviously Tabitha couldn't be there. So I just wanted to do anything I could to support him. And I prayed a lot.
This situation was hard for the entire family, but especially Gary, the father. Serenity was his first child, and immediately upon her birth, she had complications, and he was devastated because he was so scared that he might lose her.
Well, my initial reaction was, I was thinking, I met her and then I'm going to lose her, basically. And, one of the scariest moments of my life, put it to you that way. And it was, very intense. And I was terrified. I didn't know what to think. Cause this was my first child and I've never been through this. So I was in bad shape. I was glad I had friends and family there to support me. Because without them, I wouldn't have been able to hold it together.
Gary received a ton of support from both friends and family to make it through this tough time. It was really hard on him to see his first child, Serenity, be so sick and have that many complications right after birth. Parents don't like to see their kids sick regardless of the situation, but especially not something to where they're immediately airlifted to another hospital right after they are born. This was not easy for the mother, Tabitha, either, because right after the birth, she was in recovery, so she was not able to go to the hospital that her new child was just airlifted to. So she had to rely on word of mouth from friends and family and other doctors to know the status of her child right after her birth.
To not know what was going on, because obviously at first I was in recovery and I couldn't see her in the nursery. I couldn't talk to Gary. All I knew was what the doctors were telling me was that they were going to have to take her to Children's because she was having some trouble breathing, and it was pretty difficult. With her brother, we didn't have any issues, so we got to go home after a few days, but knowing that we were going to be going to the hospital was a completely different story. They were going to have to put her in the helicopter and fly her down there. Ended up being an airplane that we didn't get to hold her for over a week. It was hard. It was hard to take in.
What happened with Rennie was so hard on everybody.
When this was going on, Tabitha's son Chance was on Christmas break from school, and they were not able to take him with them every time they went to the hospital. So Tabitha had to spend a lot of time away from her son during Christmas time as well.
I just wanted to be there for Tabitha and Gary and do as much as I could. I know I don't even like to see my own kids sick with just a cold or stomach bug, much less what Rennie had to deal with in her first few months of life.
Gary was already having to travel a lot for work as he worked in property preservation all over northeast Arkansas and southeast Missouri.
Go foreclosed homes or abandoned homes, change the door locks, etc., take care of the yard, clean it up, get it ready for the bank to move somebody else in there to sell it. It was tough, I'm used to driving a lot of miles anywhere for work, but wasn't driving back and forth to the hospital, especially for that reason. We just had to make it work, I had to work and then drive 2 or 3 hours to get down there and sleep while she was sleeping, find out what was going on, see how everything was going.
I think we've come a pretty good ways from being a tiny little baby hooked up to oxygen with a feeding tube, and now we're an ornery redheaded toddler who likes to get her way. But we couldn't have done it without answered prayers, and we had a whole lot of people praying for us and getting us to this point. The good Lord put his hand on her, got her this far, so we'll see how much further he lets her go, how much more trouble she gets into. Got it! We get to look forward to our big wedding day. We're going to get married in April, and she's going to be our pretty little flower girl. Big brother's going to be ring bearer, so we'll see how many flowers she actually throws out for us and how big of a fish she throws when we get down to the end. But we couldn't ask for better answered prayers or a more ornery, rotten, pretty girl in our lives.
She's a stinker and gets in some trouble a lot. But we love her anyway.
During a time where this family had felt like they had fallen down, through support of friends and family, they were able to rise back up. Because the bigger the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it.